Good evening and welcome to Atlantic Television Network, your favorite television station down south of Nigeria. And the program this evening is Atlantic Television Press Roundtable. Our Press Roundtable is a program where we gather as media professionals to look at issues that are trending in the last 24 hours. And most times, some of the backlashes that follow such stories. We give insights and perspectives and look at the stories from balanced views. Today is not going to be different. I have a full house. And before we go, I'll give you the details, before we go into details of today's business. From Benue State Council report that earlier promises to probe state land encroachment. Abuja ministerial nominee collapses in National Assembly chambers. Wage award will worsen hunger, Primate Ayodele. From Edo State, we have a report for you that human trafficker bags 12 years jail sentence. Kogi Guba campaign suspended. Senate denies CBN loans, cautions Tinubu on unlawful expenses. These are some of the headlines that are trending. Don't forget to watch us on our various social media platforms, our mobile app, ATN Live, our YouTube and Facebook, Atlantic Television Network. This is Press Roundtable. My name is Bon Woke. I'll introduce my guest shortly. After welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Press Roundtable. Here in the studio, I have Kingsley Izejobi. He's here. Most times we get his name wrong. I'm sure we got it right today. Let's see their faces. Well, that's it. Chukwu Jumafo is here. Chukwu Jumafo is here, and Lee. These are names. A broadcaster should be able to get every name correctly. Yeah, and I hope I'm trying to do that. They are here today. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good evening, viewers.
Senate has warned President Bola Tinubu against illegal spending and advised him to seek a supplementary budget for his compressed natural gas initiative. The Senate, through its Committee on Gas, led by Senator Jaribe, urged the executive arm of government to expeditiously present a 2023 supplementary budget to the National Assembly to kickstart the compressed natural gas project. This request came barely 48 hours after President Bola Tinubu announced measures to cushion the pains of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians. The lawmakers insisted that the law was against extra budgetary spending. The committee chairman and other projects in the gas turbine chain. Well, simple instruction there. National Assembly seems to be sounding like they are doing check and balances this time. Yeah.
Well, good evening, viewers, once more. Well, for me, I think that about subsidy for way that I don't consider very proper, that I don't consider very. For instance, we are not talking about out of the pocket of Africa. When you have 5 billion, have capacity. Imagine where you university, 5 of them. Go to each of them and give them 1 billion. Just and say,
will the 1 billion stop you from paying fees?
So say this 1 billion, this 1 billion
is to subsidize
in the next 1 year. In the next 1 year,
yes,
those students
to pay fees.
Pay any fee. Go to the health center. Go to KMH or any of this. Give them a certain amount of money and say, of course, before you give this money, a feasibility study.
So that kind of subsidy, right? It's a subsidy.
It's a feasibility study of what it costs to run the hospital averagely must have been gotten by government. So when you drop that money, you cushion the effect of how much people pay to access service. When people are not paying for health, they are not paying for education, they are probably not paying for electricity. Discover that they now have more money to commute. And that way, you know that what you are doing, we go around. For this one, we're talking about CNG buses, for instance. We all saw shopping. We saw how it was like that. And at the end of the day, we didn't get anything out of it. When the first removal of subsidy, when the subsidy started under President Jonathan. So I think that Nigeria government should actually be more innovative in trying to remove this subsidy.
Okay. Now, look at what's happening there. Now, Senate denies CBN loans, cautions Tinubu on unlawful expenses. There is this check and balances. He said, it is wrong for you to spend extra budget if there's a word like budget, in an extra budgetary manner. Every expenses must pass through the Senate. Going to take loans and whatever you want to do will amount to recklessness without due process. That's what Senate is shouting there. And for the first time, the Senate doesn't seem to be behaving like a rubber stamp.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we can see, you've rightly said it, you can see that governance has come in within at least 2 arms of government. You see, they were affirmative orders, so I commend them for that. Then, looking at Tinubu's economic recovery, I look at it as, I'm not actually comfortable with it. I don't want to align it with that of Idi Amin of Uganda, who said they should go and print money and share to people. There is no strong economic measures that is on ground to take care of what is happening in Nigeria as it relates to ordinary man, this country. How can you say give 6 months this? This is something that any economist will strongly condemn. It does not go anywhere. Talking of revamping the economy, there's things that are on ground. Even if we are suffering it now, we will know that tomorrow we are going to enjoy it. But all the measures on ground doesn't seem in any way that tomorrow will be better.
Okay. The NLC was giving certain principles, certain packages, as it were, to show that government is on a march towards some kind of policies that cushion the effect of fee subsidy. In this case, this is where the National Assembly is practicing the principle of check and balances, the principle of separation of powers. Montesquieu said that for government not to be arbitrary and autocratic,
there must be that separation.
That the 3 arms of government must be mutually separate from one another. That's the French philosopher Montesquieu. And that is exactly, and this check and balance is what we expect from the different arms of government. Over time, our worry has been that the various arms of government seem to be compromised by the executive might. Now, do you see the role being played by this House committee in ensuring that the government doesn't budgeted revenue. Do you see it as a good omen looking forward?
Well, for me, it's a good omen if the Senate, House of Rep, can stand. You know, what we have had in the past is that let's sit down, and talk. Not spend time. And at the end of the day, you hear something like that meeting between the Senate and the executive. There was a kind of collaboration. Of most Nigerians at the back, and what the want, not the what will not be. That is what they're going to consider this as one of those.
Their duties. Is saying that if they will, it is left for for Nigerians, especially the journalists,
to insist.
To insist, because they have pronounced.
They should continue.
Yes.
This style should be continued.
Yes, they have pronounced this. Let them not go back. So if we sincerely, because we the proletariat who are there to say that we want this, we must insist.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
must insist.
Now we just hope that the upper legislative chamber does not compromise, because it's a very serious matter, and we also hope that we don't come to a point where they say the processes are there. I'm not sure anybody can veto budget provisions. There are issues that can be vetoed, not budget. All right. All Progressive Congress, that's the next story from Kogi State, has suspended its campaign for November 11 Kogi governorship election. The campaign was suspended as a mark of respect for Ms. Khadija Yahaya, a member of the party who died after an attack by suspected thugs. Spokesperson for the state campaign council, Mr. Kingsley Fowler, stated this in a statement on Tuesday. Khadijat allegedly lost her life after a clash between supporters of the Social Democratic Party and those of the All Progressive Congress in Kotankaf. Meanwhile, the state APC governorship candidate, Alhaji Usman Dodo, has visited the family of the deceased in Kotankafe to sympathize with them by her demise. The import of this story is the issue of Togri. She didn't die a natural death. She was killed by a Tog attack by the opposing party.
Allegedly.
Yes. No, allegedly, that's the point.
Yes.
So there was an attack. There was an open confrontation between two parties, thugs, and she died at it. That is the talking point in this story. Issue of Togri in Nigerian politics. Take it away.
When we are talking about Togri, politics Togri is part of politics. We don't
supposedly.
We don't take it away.
Ideally, no.
It's not ideal. We don't talk about the realism. We don't talk about the idealism. We talk about the reality. So when you are saying that ideally, that is out of place. When this type of thing happens, and it's a mayor saying, party A did this, that, and at the end of the day, it just went off that way. Nothing happens. Because from the story, I was expecting to hear that, or I'm expecting to hear that some people, the talks from party A that had confrontation with it, and how 20 of them are arrested, 10 of them, one of them is arrested. But it's not there. So when I say it's part of, it looks as if the system also permits it. Because we have had several killings, political killings in this country. Nothing, even in River State here, has happened. We hear about Dikibo, we heard about Mashahari, all those things were there. Nothing comes out of it. The person that died has gone. So the focal point here is how does Nigerian politics, Nigerian society view thuggery?
How do they respond to it?
How do they
You're talking about response. Yes. What's your take there? So that we can go to the next.
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate that it like or the bad. I remember that when the campaign
Attacked.
attack, it has become more like a attack. Fortunately, the politics and time of time of public have turned into thuggery. And let me define a little bit from that. I really don't think that thuggery is supposed to be part of politics. Or if it's in terms of
that's why I say this.
Yes.
you don't have to beat anybody, you don't have to nobody needs to die for any idea. So if the politicians have and it also brings to the fact the fact that they sign that a lot of politicians don't have anything about it.
It's a
So
violence.
since they don't have anything about it, they resort to violence, they resort to coercing, follow their. Quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
Somebody has to
Die.
listen to her just because body. I want to call on agencies, all those who make sure that there is another before, during, and after any of these elections coming up next. Starting their seatbelt and rise up and make sure that anybody who goes against brought to fairly punished so that it can serve as a deterrent to those who want to do politics and violence. Violence has no place in politics. It has no place in politics, not because anybody who indulges in violence in the electoral cycle should be made to pay the ultimate, to made to pay a very severe price so that every other person can stay away from them.
Well, I think there are another, and Chukwu's perspective had to do with the fact that people are not being punished. We don't have strict measures to prevent and prosecute those who get involved in thuggery. We don't prevent it. We don't also prosecute those who are caught.
We don't want to.
And yes, because we don't want to. We don't have the political will. And that is the problem with Nigeria. Now we are running an off-cycle election where we thought that there would be concentration of security in the few states that are involved and that the process will be very tidy. Only Bayelsa that people thought was going to be a flashpoint seems to be very peaceful today. But where we're hearing Imo State, we're hearing all amount of stories, different kinds of narrative. Well, this time maybe from the unknown gunmen and gun-known men and all that. But even then, the political parties themselves are not at peace with one another. Even intra-party issues are not settled amicably. So that if we cannot get it right in a very large election in Nigeria, what about off-cycle elections that involve very few states? This is a challenge to the electoral umpire and also a challenge to the political parties. If they can't get it right this time, then we shouldn't be talking about a national election.
Even important that also those who are in power already also allow the voice of
come out. Yes.
So what is happening most of what is happening most of parties in power go through any length
To emasculate the
to
other.
emasculate the own voices. Any attempt to want to break away from their emasculation not into
Violence.
Both Imo State, I saw the candidate, I think, talking about how you have to put humongous amount of
Rally.
that was similar to
In Rivers State.
and it goes round and round. Those are in power wants to use that power to shut up the conversation. That is very, very dangerous.
Okay. Well, that's what actually leads to violence when you don't allow free campaign processes to take place. I hope that's not what's happening in Kogi State. Kogi State must be peaceful. The gladiators should take it easy. The grandstanding and all the shenanigans associated with elections should be minimized. Shouldn't get to the point where people will begin to lose their lives, especially political office seekers. Okay, let's look at the last story for this segment. 12 years jail sentence is what a human trafficker backs. Mrs. Felicia Osaibovo, alias Mama Masha, a notorious human trafficker, has been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment and a fine of 24 million naira by Edo State High Court, sitting in Benin. Mama Masha, who lives at Okuarobo Street off St. Xavier Street, Upper Sabomba Road, Benin City, Edo State, was arraigned on July 1st, 2021 on a 24-count charge of assisting the activities of persons engaged in trafficking in human beings. The convict was also accused of organizing foreign travels which promote prostitution. She, however, pleaded not guilty to all the counts, but the prosecution in proof of counts called a total of 3 witnesses, including a Belgian police officer, Mr. Jimmy Valen Hendrik, who flew in from Brussels on May 31st to testify. Hendrik told the court that 3 of the women's children, including Ebera Memen, who was sentenced to 6 years, will have to cough out 108,000 euros, while Aibe Daniel, who was fined 108,000, was jailed 5 years. Her other brother, Osaibovo Nathaniel, back 5 years imprisonment and a fine of 48,000 euros. Were all sentenced in Belgium. Her family indeed. The Belgian police said that the suspect could have been tried in absentia in Belgium based on overwhelming evidence sourced from the several victims who escaped from the prostitution ring and officially told stories of how Mrs. Osaibovo, who also goes by the alias Mama of Juliet, recruited them in Benin City and took them to Europe for sexual exploitation and prostitution. That's the last story. But let's give a little talk on it.
Yes.
There's going to be a problem.
Very problematic. I'm concerned about the sentence, which looks as if plea bargain, where 24 million is what she will pay it.
There's an offshore fund, right?
Yes, 24 million.
It's a sentence.
I agree it's a sentence, but she will pay the money immediately. Then maybe an ex-convict tag is nothing. Nigerians now. So I was expecting where they would have said, without option of fine.
Well, the details are not clear there. But the important is that she was convicted.
She was convicted.
Yes.
But I'm saying that it is from my...
The conviction is not strong enough. The human trafficking is a very serious issue. I had an Edo State citizen here in one of my shows, and he talked about the enormity, of human trafficking, prostitution, that it has become endemic, it has become part of the culture, it has become part of the value system. If you don't have anybody working in Italy or in Spain that brings money to the house, then you're not a human being in Edo State. And you need to have somebody, they say, Mama, so person has built, so person's daughter has built so number of story buildings, has trained most of the younger ones and all that. And if you come from a family that doesn't have this kind of narrative, it doesn't seem to be any human being. That is the value system in the place. And most of them are in jail now in Belgium.
From the story we're hearing that about 3 or 4 members of that family. Now, very serious. I support what that sentences nothing like that ex-convict tax does not, especially society where poverty is not society where moral society is living through moral bank, where what is right is and what is. So I think that the best way the government can do active and the best way to do it is not that anybody who is convicted is left behind by the rest of it. That's the only way the person cannot go back.
Yeah.
Because why are people even getting into it? A lot of people blame it poverty, lack of employment, but I come to think of it, there are so many poor people in Nigeria who have struggled from poverty, family, and they are breaking even and they are doing well. It's a matter of having a value, having a very high self-esteem. Have a very high self-esteem. Will not be desperate. Prostitution abroad, function of the level of heart of otherwise. And again, the funny thing about prostitution is foreign trade. Even that, some people go as far as selling family property and back on that.
That to go and do prostitution.
Yes. So you now discover that it's a matter, it's a psychological thing, it's a mental, it's a kind of level of mental state of otherwise. There is no reason why you should sell your family property just to go and get involved.
Okay.
Something that can land you for life or even take your life.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're supposed to go on break now. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue. Don't go away. It is still Atlantic Television Press Roundtable here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Stay tuned. the Still Atlantic Television Press Roundtable here in the Garden City. Let's look at this story coming from a cleric, Primate Elijah Ayodele, leader of NRI Evangelical Spiritual Church, says the 35,000 naira provisional wage award for a period of 6 months will lead to additional hunger and inflation in the country. Primate Ayodele stated this in a statement by his media aide, Oluwatoshin Osho. His comment comes after President Tinubu approved a 35,000 naira wage award for all Treasury-paid federal government workers. Ayodele also stated that the government should have requested more time to ensure effective planning. Yes. Gentlemen, just a quick intervention on this.
Yes. These are alluding to the fact of what I said previously.
Yes, I think that you jumped the gun. That was why I was taking you to the issue.
What I said previously about
yes.
President Tinubu's economic plan. There is no deliberate effort to make sure that our economy bounces back from all what it's been doing. We can't come up to be talking about spending. No effort to say, these are the way we are going to generate fund. These are the way this is going to be. How could you say you...
Now the issue here is that wage increase will lead to inflation.
For sure.
We know the implication of he not putting anything in plan, but this being the only thing that he thinks that can assuage the aspirations or aspirate the restiveness of civil servants and workers in Nigeria. Is it true that it can affect inflation? That's the intervention I wanted to do.
Okay, I think that the cleric is actually right. But, it goes back to what I was saying. If you want to push on the effect of fuel subsidy, which is the reason why this wage 5,000 talked about. If what is taking money from the pocket of average Nigerian worker, taken care of, you will discover that Nigerian workers will be comfortable and they will not be. Because if the woman who sells logo by the roadside hears that workers' salary has been, next thing, the price of whatever he or she is selling,
it will increase hunger.
I was in this town when minimum wage was moved from 10,000 to 30,000. I know the effect that had on accommodation. I know the effect they had on. That was when we started having a 30 naira drop, 30 naira per drop, 20 naira per drop public transport. Why? Because this increment for cancer. So, just like my colleague here said, government is not deliberate. It's as if they're just doing trial and error. Let us see whether it will work. Let us see whether it will work. It is not just about giving out money, 35,000. And to even make the matter worse, say the 35,000 I will pay for 6. Meaning that after 6 go back to where we used to be.
Between then and now, between now and 6 months, there will be a deliberate plan to increase wages.
And they forget that part of what labor has
because by law they cannot increase wages now.
But again, you forget that part of what labor has been clamoring for over the years is wage. So if you put people, let's say somebody that is earning 20,000 at 35,000, that is 55,000 after 6 months. After the 6 months,
no, after these 6 months, they are setting a committee in place that will rejig the wage bill of civil servants. So because by law, by the law that governs
civil service
salary, public service salary, they cannot do any increase now until about March next year.
So why don't we look at other ways?
What they can do now is an award. That's what they have given.
What I want to chip in. The federal civil servants are enjoying this. What about the states?
The states are compelled. They are supposed to enjoy it.
The 30%, 30% in
The
then
30,000 has not been
30,000. It has not been implemented so many states in the country.
Yes.
Then this one-sided is, and everybody is in one market.
It's just to satisfy Labour, and Labour has taken it in good faith. Let's look at the next story because we still have one story and it's a very pathetic one. And another one story. Abbas Balarabe, a ministerial nominee from Kaduna State, today collapsed while explaining his profile at the Senate. He was the second to be screened for confirmation, but fainted shortly after he took turns to be screened by lawmakers. Immediately he fainted. Sergeant at Arms ordered journalists out of the chambers. Why? With the Sheikh Abo representing Adamawa North, personally rushed him to the National Assembly clinic to seek for medical attention. The wheelchair was immediately rushed to the chamber as he could not be revived to by himself.
Well, I don't think old age has anything to do with this. From my own perspective, I'm seeing it as maybe there was a stage fright. It has not been.
Let's talk about the issue more critically than this joke. Let's look at the story more critically, especially from the perspective that he replaced El-Rufai. And why all this delay, all this while? President Tinubu knew that there was going to be a replacement for El-Rufai, and yet he gave us a bloated ministerial slot, and we're still having 3 more.
Well, I think that
because all the states must be represented.
For me, my summary of what the current administration at the federal level has been that the current government is trying to compensate all those who work ensuring that the appointment so far does not in any way renew anything. So far, it's more like all those who have worked will have to be rewarded. And that is a danger. Because when you give people appointment on the basis of reward for what they have done, they feel entitled and they cannot do anything. Not do now, if you talk about, we're talking about over-bloated ministerial institutions in the country. We're talking about the need to cut the cost of governance. And now you are bringing somebody who is not even medically okay. In other words, if this person finally scales to, I suspect it will to because probably the president's candidate, then we have a minister who is prone to illness. And that means that certain chunk of the budget for that particular minister, whatever minister is devoted taking care of this man who is sick. So I want to advise the president, those who work with him, to be more sincere, to be more selfless in nominating people for ministerial appointments. To be a minister is not go and sit down. To be a minister is you are the hand, the minister is the hand and the leg, ears, and the eyes of the president, as far as ministries, parastatals, and agencies are concerned. So when you have a man or a woman who is not medically, who is not physically fit, you are seeing that that ministry that he or she is going to occupy will not also be physically fit, will not also be medically okay, because the occupant of the office is not okay. So you take a man that is sound and strong to get an office running. In this studio that we are speaking from right now, if you have a general manager who is not physically okay, if you have a studio manager who is not physically okay, you discover that even when the cameras and when the whatever goes wrong, you discover that it will be difficult for the person to brace up, make sure that the normal thing. So I want to advise the president that he should have a rethink about this particular nominee. If possible, change him much younger and healthier person. And I also want to suggest, just that whatever we are saying is politicians already have what. Otherwise, for you to nominate anybody, before anybody can be announced, the person must have gone through some kind of medical check, able to whether the person for the office that we intend to. If the person does not meet our medical standard in terms of it, then we can just forget about it and then move for another person. The there are so many persons in Kaduna State who can add value to this current administration.
Well, I think that it was unfortunate that the old man
That is,
became
sorry,
sick.
that is not also to say
That
that
could be the spur of the moment. It could be something that just happened. But the point is that we should, the government should be very circumspect when it comes to picking. And my take, before we're almost done, so my take on this matter is because the fact that we are beginning to have many sick or alien, as it were, aged and alien in governance. That's the crisis in Ondo State today. Akeredolu has been going on medical leave.
and it will just slow down the process.
And it's causing a lot of confusion in the state, where the deputy governor wanted to play his role as deputy governor in the absence of the governor, wanted to play the role of a spare tire. And we have issues in the state, and governance in that state doesn't seem to be peaceful. And to worsen the case, Akeredolu is coming from Ibadan, maybe because of it that we don't want to.
We have seen the principle of the president can rule from anywhere in Nigeria. So
Yes.
I guess that is also replicated in the state where the governor of the state just one begins to wonder the facility that you have in your state that you cannot be replicated in. Why is the governor in your state when so these are the questions that
I think that the issue is the issue of bloated ministerial nominee. The president would have known, because these three are to fill slots for states and regions that are not covered. Because you have to have one from each state and one from each region. And he knew that we had these vacancies. Why did he crowd the ministerial slots? That's the last slot. Let's take the last slot.
The issue of ministerial nominee, as my colleague has rightly said, is a political gift, so to speak. Political gift. The merit is taken away. What we are seeing is that how good you are in terms of manipulating politics in your area, in terms of making the whole thing work out well. The earlier we go out of this, the better for us. If people succeed in this way, coming in, you will see people die to make sure their candidate goes on. These are issues we are looking at that we should make sure this thing is condemned in its entirety. We condemn this in its entirety. The Nigerian politics, as one of the political philosophers put it, is everybody, men were born free, but all of us are chained. When everything has been kept the way it should be, human beings made it to be difficult. It's most unfortunate. Until we see things, work it in the direct, normal perspective, then you will see our country will move.
Yeah, and your last slot, just less than a minute.
Well, I think that for our president that have a responsibility to of governance, want to solving the problem. We'll be talking about
Ministers now.
bloated, and it's even worse to have medically fit. That is a time bomb.
Well, that's a time bomb that is waiting to explode. It's unfortunate. We don't pray that anybody should be ill. Illness can come anytime. It doesn't know about age and all that. But the issue is, why are we still talking about ministerial nominees now? So many months after swearing in May, almost 6 months now, and we are still talking about new ministerial nominees and talking about fulfilling the state quotas and all that. I think that's some kind of slow pace in terms of, we should be thinking about how to increase productivity, how to solve the problem of inflation and what have you. That should be our take now. Well, this is what we can take on today's program, Atlantic Television Press Roundtable. And I've had here in the studio Chukwude Jimofor. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I've also had Kingsley Zejobi. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Don't forget to ensure that you watch us on our various social media platforms. They are there on the screen for you to access. Of course, you're watching us on StarTimes 194. That's where you're watching us from your television screen. Don't forget to come, to stay tuned, to stay glued to our station